yo, who was you on the phone arguing with like that? And he said, some nigga named Jimmy Henchman.
Promise to pay back Jimmy Henchman.
When Against All Odds dropped, it's a game changer, you know, because nobody ever talked about a street nigga like that.
I heard he was light-skinned, stocky, with a Haitian accent.
And that's where he made his biggest mistake.
Jimmy Henchman always wanted to be Chris Lighty. Everybody knows that.
Because it's too much faith, dude.
The Sean Carters and Sean Combs and Curtis Jacksons, you know, I call those the guys the big three.
I was ready to do whatever it took to win.
We're gonna bring it to these niggas like how niggas supposed to really bring it to them.
Born in 1965 in Manhattan, New York City, James Roseman came up through the streets, but he quickly realized that the emerging hip-hop music was evolving into a powerful commercial enterprise. He adopted the moniker Jimmy Henchman, which would later become synonymous with violence.
Henchman is a name that deals with some kind of dark side. People have taken henchman to mean different things.
Henchman was one of the first people who blended the gangster ethos with the business side of hip-hop. In the early 1990s, before the age of social media, the music industry ran on handshakes, hallway deals, and connections. There were only a few people who had the power to make or break a career in a few days. Inspired by the earlier established Jack the Rapper convention, where upcoming artists could meet, gather, collaborate, and share their work with the public. In 1992, Henchman and friends founded the How Can I Be Down hip-hop conference, where he collaborated with Chris Lighty, who was a very close friend at the time and was also trying to establish himself in the music business. This convention was a networking ground which brought together artists, producers, and executives all in one place. His early success came with his involvement with Salt and Pepper. Henchman played a crucial role in the production of their hit song Shoot, securing the beat for the song for free.
I went on to become a manager for producers. My first hit was Shoot for Salt and Pepper, and the rest was really history.
Jimmy was dating Cheryl James during that time while also managing the group under his company Henchman Productions, which would later cause tensions within the group. The 90s was a very competitive time period with gangster rap taking over the radio stations, and the environment was becoming extremely dangerous with increased gang presence inside the music industry. This was Henchman's domain as he was very well street connected. When Henchman was building his own empire at the same time Puffy was rising with Bad Boy Records.
The fashion, the walk, the talk, the attitude, the drive, the determination. I was ready to do whatever it took to win.
They knew each other professionally, they were in the same rooms, and Puffy was aware of Henchman's reputation and influence. In the early 1990s, Haitian Jack, who was a Brooklyn-based street gangster, had a major influence in the New York hip-hop scene. Haitian Jack was already an established, well-known figure in the New York underworld, and he was idolized by Jimmy Henchman at the time. Henchman, who knew Tupac from before, introduced him to Haitian Jack in 1993 during the period when Pac was in New York filming the movie Above the Rim. The three became close, frequently partying together at Manhattan clubs.
Let me say, me and Tupac were friends. And me and him were friends. I had nothing against Tupac. I liked him. He was younger than me. I'm sure that he looked up to me. There's many moments that me and Pac had that were very intimate, where he's talked to me about things that he was afraid of or things that he loved to do, and all of those kind of things.
Eventually, in 1994, these three would have a fallout, which began with Tupac refusing Henchman to manage him, and later believing Jack set him up with the Ayanna Jackson case. Rumors spread around that Pac was talking bad about Jack and Henchman, and in 1994, Henchman lured Tupac to record a verse for one of his artists, Lil Sean. Upon his arrival, Tupac was robbed and shot 5 times in quad recording studios.
Tupac was on the phone arguing with somebody, and it was really aggressive. And Tupac was saying, yeah, well, whatever, suck my dick, fuck you. When you see me, you see me, right? And yeah, I'm gonna pull up. I'm on my way there now, right? So when he hung up the phone, they asked him, yo, who was you on the phone arguing with like that? And he said, some nigga named Jimmy Henchman. And the nigga said, nigga, is you crazy? Do you know who Jimmy Henchman is and what Jimmy Henchman might do to you? And he was like, for real? Like, he said, so do you think I should take a gun? And they was like, nigga, we all gonna need guns going to the studio.
Puffy, Biggie, and the Bad Boy crew were present at the studio when the shooting occurred. Tupac would blame them for setting him up, and this event would play a key role later in the whole East versus West scenario. Later, Henchman allegedly said that the November 1994 incident was a disciplinary procedure after Tupac spoke bad about Haitian Jack. But Pac, who was a wild card himself, wasn't backing down, although people like Mike Tyson advised him to stay away from Jack and Henchman.
There's a rumor that you told Pac not to hang out with Haitian Jack, but he didn't listen.
Well, I told Pac, but I said, I don't know if you, I think you're out of your league right now. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had asked me about Jack. You know, and I had known Jack through Scooter. And I said, you're out of your league.
He did the opposite and doubled down, releasing several diss records declaring war on Henchman and Jack.
When Against All Odds dropped, it's a game changer, you know, because nobody ever talked about a street nigga like that.
I heard he was light-skinned, stocky, with a Haitian accent. Jewelry, fast cars, and he's known for flashing. Listen while I take you back and lace this rap. A real live tale about a snitch named Haitian Jack.
With Against All Odds, you basically opened up a new playbook. Now we talking real street shit.
Being called a snitch came from Suge. Suge told Tupac to say that shit about me. But Suge was a capitalist. He used Pac. Pac didn't even see it. The more attention Pac gets, and the more the record sales go up. Pac wouldn't have put no song like that out before he died, because then he'd have to see me. Because I'm gonna ask him some questions. That's not something I can let nobody get away with, dog. The code of the streets is this, man. If you got proof, then show it. And that's where he made his biggest mistake. You understand? Because once niggas felt like I wasn't fucking with them, so that umbrella is gone. Once the umbrella's gone, my nigga, you get rained on.
Promise to pay back Jimmy Henchman in due time. I know you bitch niggas just listening. The world is mine. Set me up, wet me up, niggas stuck me up. Heard the guns bust, but you tricks never shut me up.
Remember what you told me. You said don't go to war unless I got my money right. I got my money right, nigga. Now I want war.
2 years later, Tupac would get fatally shot in an entirely different, unrelated scenario. In 1996, Jimmy Henchman founded Haitian Entertainment, later rebranded to Czar Entertainment. On the other hand, the very same year, Chris Lighty founded Violator Management, which would be in a direct competition with Czar Entertainment. Henchman's circle included his brother Mario Rosemond, several other street figures, and a roster of emerging producers and industry figures who helped source talent and projects. Within the hip-hop circles, he was seen as a brutal fix-it man who blended legitimate and illegitimate worlds, often resorting to violence to get the job done. By the early 2000s, Violator Entertainment was far ahead of Czar Entertainment, securing very high-profile deals for its artists, most notably Gap Mountain Dew and Sprite deals amongst others, which would be very lucrative deals for the artists. Lighty's greatest business achievement came in 2004 when he brokered 50 Cent's endorsement deal with Glasso Vitamin Water.
What's that? Vitamin Water has the best customers. We'd like to thank them for their support.
Instead of a flat fee, Lighty negotiated for 50 Cent to have an ownership stake in the company. When Coca-Cola purchased Glasso for $4.1 billion in 2007, 50 Cent received an estimated $100 million and Lighty received an undisclosed multi-million-dollar sum. Henchman was envious of Chris Lighty's company, but he never publicly spoke on the matter. They even collaborated in 2003, both joining Russell Simmons in a campaign to reform New York's Rockefeller drug laws. Lighty's Violator Management represented some of hip-hop's biggest names by the early 2000s, including 50 Cent and G-Unit, LL Diddy, Missy Elliott, Mobb Deep, Mariah Carey, and many other high-profile names. While Henchman's Czar Entertainment represented names like Akon, The Game, Gucci Mane, Gorilla Black, Brandy Shine, and other notable names in the music industry.
And everything that they see going around them with the Sean Carters and Sean Combs and Curtis Jacksons, I call those the guys the big three. The industry will never let the big three happen again because they'll never let us rape and pillage the game and then go make tens of millions of dollars outside the game and come back and say, now promote my brand again so I can go make some more buckets of money over there, and you don't get any.
Jimmy Henchman always wanted to be Chris Lighty. Everybody knows that. Why would you move on the same block as him? He was on 25th Street, you went on 25th Street. He had the biggest artist. The biggest artist Henchman had was Game. Chris Lighty always had like hate from people because, you know, he had P. Diddy, he had 50, he had Foxy, LL. You had the dream team over there. I'll tell you the poison in that was Jimmy Henchman. Jimmy Henchman never liked Chris Lighty.
50 Cent publicly removed Game from G-Unit Live on air at Hot 97. The Game's entourage confronted 50's crew outside the station, leading to a shootout.
What happens next is they wouldn't let us in the building. It was locked, and there was security. And at that time, 50 was traveling with like ex-Marines and shit like that. You know, we just had the homies. And so we went up there, they wouldn't let us in, and so we got into, you know, some shit with his entourage and his security, and shots were fired. A lot of shots were fired. And it was just a whole shootout outside of Hot 97 that got us banned and changed the way that Hot 97 does interviews, I think, to this day. It was definitely bullets flying everywhere.
Henchman steered Game into a beef with 50 Cent because he hated Chris Lighty, and this was the turning point when sides were chosen. As the feud was escalating further, Henchman's son was confronted by members of G-Unit outside Henchman offices. Tony Yayo and Lodi Mac slapped the kid, and Henchman wouldn't let this slide under any circumstances. It was war. Lodi Mac was killed, and the house of Yayo's mother was brutally shot up. Allegedly, Henchman personally shot up the house.
You know, one of the things you gotta remember about these music dudes is that a lot of these music dudes don't have no principles and no backbone. A lot of these dudes, man, is able to they're ready and able to compromise their principles to get in positions that they're in. That's why, you know, certain dudes propel to certain positions before, you know what I'm saying, other dudes. But you know, it's a new millennium, and it's time for real niggas now to cause it's too much fake dudes.
No doubt.
You know, we gonna bring it to these niggas like how niggas supposed to really bring it to them.
Rest in peace, Lodi Mac. You know the story. Like, I mean, it was street shit. You know, but at the end of the day, you know what? If I slap your kid, you gonna go all out too. It's the streets. You know, rules got violated, and it is what it is. But once you shoot my mom's house up, I wish I would have. But listen, at the end of the day, when the kid got slapped, right? It's all fair and war. You already know what's gonna go. You know, for anybody who got kids, I understand how the nigga felt.
Big fella was a terror, man. Compared to all the other execs during that time, Suge was a menace. He was terrorizing the ones that could be terrorized. He didn't never touch us. You know what I mean? But it's some other folk in Atlanta him slapped, put their hands on, and yeah. Some folk around Atlanta got slapped, and some folks in New York got slapped. Suge just knew the ones that he could bully and the ones that he couldn't. When he was into it with my homeboy Jimmy Henchman, you know what I mean? When Suge got shot, I was in Miami. They were beefing, cause when Suge them fucked up the Vibe Awards. So once the melee and all that kind of shit started off, and Young Buck them got on Buddy and did what they did to Buddy, you know, we pretty much made sure that Nelly and everybody else got up out of there. And at the same time too, that was one of the real nights that kind of rubbed Jimmy wrong with Suge, cause he kind of messed up the Vibe Awards that him and Queen Latifah them and Shakim had put together, and they fucked the award show up, so it never came back after that. So, you know, when Suge got shot in Miami, niggas knew who sent it. When you was in Miami, you was in his turf. Haitians, baby, Haitians.
In the following years, Henchman's legal troubles piled up quickly. His first major federal case conviction for leading an $11 million cocaine trafficking organization came in 2012, where he received his first life sentence. To evade drug-sniffing dogs, Henchman's crew slathered the cocaine packages in mustard before sealing them in the music equipment cases. Law enforcement seized over $2.8 million in drug proceeds in New York and California during this period. His second federal case was the 2009 killing of Lowell Fletcher aka Lodi Mac, which Henchman paid for, with 1 kilo of cocaine worth approximately $30,000. The case involved 3 distinct legal proceedings before a final standing conviction was reached. The first trial on March 2014 ended in a mistrial after the jury remained deadlocked on all counts. The second trial on December 2014, Henchman was convicted on all counts. However, this conviction was overturned by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in November 2016 due to errors that restricted his defense. In the final trial, Roseman's defense strategy was to argue that while he did order a shooting, he did not intend for it to be a fatal encounter, essentially attempting to avoid the murder element of the murder-for-hire charge. On November 28, 2017, the jury unanimously found him guilty of all charges. James Roseman, better known as Jimmy Henchman, got 2 life sentences plus 30 years. In federal cases, a life sentence means spending the rest of your life in prison since there is no parole in federal cases, which means Henchman will most likely spend the rest of his life behind bars.